What up, everybody? Mystic here. I'm going to talk about the new Tarkov Hardcore Wipe with all the info that we have available to us and pretty much as fast as possible. I've seen a lot of in-depth videos and I think it could be condensed into about 3 or 4 main bullet points and some extra information that we have around that came out recently. So to start it off, we're going to talk about the one main thing that people are complaining, and it's the removal of flea market. Before we start, I just want to say sorry about the background noise. There's like 3 construction sites next to me that you're probably already hearing. I really apologize for that, but I'm trying to get my first long form video recorded in pretty much one go. Now, the flea market being removed brings about 3 problems that I can think of, and that is the keys, the ammo, and the attachments. All 3 of these have barters in place to get around the fact that they're hard to get. But also remember, there is not going to be any found in raid status anymore, which means that you might not have the dilemma that you currently have surrounding the fact that these barters have items that you either need directly for your hideout or that are very expensive. What's also important is that these barters are designed bearing in mind that the flea market allows you to buy either the stuff that you need to craft it directly or some stuff that you can craft another item which is then required for the barter. With these gone, it might mean that there are impossible bottlenecks with crafts that are simply not able to be performed unless you find an item that is tied 100% to RNG and might take you over a dozen raids just to get a specific item for a barter, meaning even more grind just to get a key, which you're going to then have to grind the mission to complete the quest. With all this in mind, it's important to know that BSG could tweak this effectively to get around the problems surrounding bottlenecks with items that are required for barters and to get the keys. But what I think about this is that it could, knowing BSG, imply a lot more pain in the ass than it intends to. This brings us to number 2 biggest change that is being discussed, and that is the restricted location access. This means that you're going to have to transition from map to map in order to get to the map that you want to be in. This is originally BSG's idea of progression, where you go from first, say, customs, then a factory, then from factory to another map. And if there are certain quests that you have to go to a specific map, such as Lighthouse or Shoreline, you can't just click on that and spawn there. You're going to have to go from Shoreline, then Transit, then to Lighthouse, or vice versa. Now, there are 2 blaring issues with this that I can think of right now, and that is you can absolutely destroy someone's progress if you sit in just a transition zone that you know is going to have locking people out of a specific map. So what I think is going to happen is probably you're going to have people spawning in, running directly to the transition where pretty much every other PMC in the raid that's doing the same quest that you're doing is going to be chilling, either waiting to kill you or trying to get the transit as well. And the second issue, which is going to be the amount of loading times you're going to have to go through, which is going to be double what we have currently. Why? Well, if you think about it, you're going to have to sit through one loading time to get into the map that's got the transition you need, and then another loading time to load into the map that you actually want to be in. And if you have to go through, say, 2 or 3 maps, then you're going to be talking about 15 to 20 minutes just loading to try and get a chance at your quest. Now, for changes number 3, which is limited trader interactions, and number 4, secure container restrictions, I'm going to kind of mention them together when possible. There is going to be less medicine available to be bought, less options, and they're going to be sold at a higher price with also reduced selling prices. Also implying that you're not going to be able to put it in your butt means that medicine is going to become a way rarer commodity, and you're not going to be able to do my favorite thing, which is pretty much put all the things you need to heal in your butt and then you're secure. You only have to keep a couple things in your pocket on hand as a hotkey. There's also going to be less ammo, less weapons, and less armor options to be bought, with the additional restrictions that the ammo, the money, and like we said before, not all the medicine is going to be able to be put in your secure container. This is going to mean a lot harder times for dying, which is going to have to eat up a lot more of your medicine, ammo, and money, especially if you want to do something quest specific, such as the BTR is now, where you have to sometimes bring a lot of money just to get to the depot in woods, for example. Overall, I think that these changes are positive due to the fact that a lot of the end game has you sitting at dozens of millions of rubles, but the amount of medicine available to be bought might be a real problem during the early game, where you're going to have to sit there and bleed out in a lot of raids where you're simply not going to have any as marches and you can't have them in your secure container. Same for the ammo. What does that mean for us when we're going into a raid and we can't have ammo in our secure container to fill up our mags? Does that mean we're going to have to trade it for a lot less expensive ammo and just run extra mags? We're going to have to see how they implement it, but this is what I'm thinking. A lot of the medicine is going to be way more expensive, way rarer, and if you die, it's going to hurt a lot more due to the ammo and the medicine being completely lost. Our final biggest change is the reduced loot value in the raids, which means, and they have stated, with the limited information that we have, we think that they're going to just change the amount of loot that we have for a lower tier. It's not going to mean that you're going to find less items. You might find more of the items that you need for the hideout, which could end up being a trade-off. Since they want us collecting way more hideout items, they're going to be spawning more frequently, perhaps, and we're not going to have to worry about finding constantly these high tier items that we would normally just sell and trade for money, which was our main objective in raids. Maybe you're going to have a lot more barter items that you're going to find in the raid, which is going to tie hand in hand with our first point, which is no more flea for the keys. So we will have to wait and see if they implement it correctly. I can see this working out beautifully as they're going to fix the issue with the barter and the hideout items with this change. Lastly, based on some information we just got today, Nikita released a little animation regarding dragging buddies, which we do not know if it's going to mean there's going to be an unconscious state finally, or people are just dead, but you're going to be able to drag them around. I'm personally hoping for the first one, but we have to see because it could also mean that it is just a cutscene. Alright guys, it is the next day and BSG has blessed us with more information, which I was editing the video and it came out. So apparently there's 3 more main points that we got to talk about. I'm going to go even faster than the last ones. Number 1, 100% boss spawns on all locations, coupled with higher AI difficulty. In my opinion, this could be compensating for the armor, ammo, and meds being more rare, but I don't see how it could be as much of a hardcore wipe if you can just go in there and farm a boss, which is going to give you constantly good ammo, good nades, and meds, and armor. So that is something to think about. They are probably going to do it to compensate for the restrictions. We will have to wait and see exactly what the bosses are going to be spawning with. Number 2 is they reduced XP for killing enemies and or dying. However, you will get higher XP for surviving. And that is pretty much all that we have right now. It is subject to change. I'm going to try and edit this video, put it out as soon as I can, but I might end up doing a second part if more information is released. If you're still watching this, thank you so much for being here. This is my first long form video, so make sure to leave a hate comment, love comment, dislike, or like, and subscribe. So, goodbye.